Hello there, everybody. Thanks for joining me. You've got MaryBurke live. Be right there. I gotta make sure that I got some water to clean my brush with, because we're gonna start out by cleaning our brushes, right? Yes. Help me work on my masterpiece today. Yes, help me work on that masterpiece today, all right? Be right back. This is where the coffee is hot, and we're gonna make something. And today, we're working on that masterpiece right here. So you're gonna help me. Be right back. I just gotta get my coffee going. Got my Dunkin's Extra Extra. I got my Dunkin's Hazelnut coffee. Pouring a generous dollop of cream. Get to stirring that up. And here I am. All right, let's get in there. So I am simul broadcasting today on, starting in the top right, Instagram, YouTube, and TikTok. My Facebook page is okay. There we go. I had no battery. I ran out of battery. Oops. And I forgot to recharge it. So now I have to get it all squared away. So thank you for joining me. You've got MaryBurke Live. Yes, MaryBurke Live. This is the account for you to follow, subscribe to. Oh, yeah. And on my Instagram, I forgot to put the subscriptions on. I have to do that before I freaking go live, and I always forget that step. So if you want to subscribe, you're going to have to go to my profile page and then click the subscription. All right. Otherwise, we're going to go live on Facebook, and it is Make It at 11 with me, Mary, and it is working on our masterpiece, right? Working the masterpiece today. My paint by numbers. The masterpiece. All right, so hopefully you're gonna join me, get those paintbrushes out and help me. Again, I gotta place this up here, sorry, so that I can get that all worked out, and then go like there. 3, 2, 1, ta-da! All right, there we go. Now we're there. Hi there, Dennis. Thank you for following me. Welcome, everybody. You've got MaryBurke Live. Yes, you've got me live. Good morning. It is morning. Yes, Gaetano. It is still morning here. It is 11:12 a.m. Eastern Time. So thank you, Ignacio, for joining me. Hello. And I have, okay, Instagram is currently scrolling, so that's always good. Hi there, Junior. Thanks for joining. Hi there, Imran. So thanks for joining me. Hi there, Jose. Hi, John. Welcome. We are working on my masterpiece. Rusty, you gonna jump up? Rusty and Stella gonna come say hi? Come on over here. Oh, well, Stella's gonna take the shortcut. This is Stella. She is my rat terrier, and then we have Rusty, who is the Cavapoo. She's also Chihuahua, so she's Chihuahua and rat terrier. And then we have Rusty, who's the Cavapoo, the King Charles Cavalier Spaniel. What you smelling? You looking for the chickens? They're not here, silly. No, the chickens aren't here, silly. And then, and also a toy poodle. So these are my puppies, my pair of puppies. Yes, my 2 puppies right here. Yes. Are you going to help me paint today? Do you have a paintbrush? You're going to borrow my paintbrush. Okay. Oh, you're spilling the water, Rusty. You're spilling the water. Okay, go sit down. Sit. You too, Stella. Sit. Okay, so this is the masterpiece that we are working on, okay? Right here it is. There you have it. Hello there from Australia. Thanks for joining us. This is what it's going to look like when we're done, right? Australia's in the house. Hi there, Harold. Hi, George. Yes. you've got Mary Burke Live right here. Okay, and so last time we were working on 18, and that was kind of the orangey color. So now you're starting to see it kind of take some shape, right? So you're seeing it take some shape there. Today, I'm going to use number 1. Number 1 is some large areas, so we'll get a lot covered today in the number 1s. So that should be fun. You'll feel like a huge sense of accomplishment by getting the 1s out of the way, because 1's such a little insignificant number. Okay, so I like working in that really that 7 to 12 range is really my forte. That's the numbers that I like right there. So thank you for thinking I look beautiful today. My hair is a little wonky. I was wearing it up, and then I had some rain, so it does tend to get a little bit wonky when I wear it like that. Hi there, George. Thanks for joining, Anne. Yes, hi there. Welcome, 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 Brian. Thanks for joining and for thinking I look gorgeous. I do appreciate that. Remember, this is the account for you to follow, subscribe, share, join, like, and comment. And just remember that I am simulcasting on different platforms. So when I do that, make sure that you're also following that other platform. And how do you get there? The best way to get there is to go to my profile links and go to my profile page, go to my profile links, and that'll show you all my authorized social media platforms. So in case you were wondering what platforms I have and where you can find it, it's all in there. So that, so for instance, sometimes I didn't have the phone charged for Facebook. So if I decide not to go live on Facebook that day, you can still head up the other platforms where I will be live. All right, everybody got it? Got it? I'll be revisiting that one often. Now the question is, do you have your paintbrushes out? All right, I have several different paintbrushes to choose from. They came with the kit, so I didn't augment and provide my own paintbrushes. So I have a really long kind of plump one here like that. Now the stem of them are all pretty much the same height. You can see that they are all, the shaft of these are all the same height. The tip might be, the metal tip might be a little bit bigger or longer depending, because really the flat one is the thickest of all, the broadest, the girthiest of all. But you can see that it is a flat top, right? Whereas the other ones, either come to a very fine point, a semi-fine point, or an ultra fine. This one is the stubbiest of them all. So this is really to get into tight nooks and crannies. When you have something that's very small, then you can deal with that. Whereas these other ones, this is a medium and that's a large. These ones are so close, it's hard to tell them apart. Maybe there's two of the same. I could work both brushes, one in one hand, one in the other hand, if I had two of the same. Yes. So today we might be painting more with the girthy one because I will be going over broad areas. So I will be hitting the number 1. So, up top here, there'll be a lot of blue. So this is a number 1, over here's a number 1, over here's a number 1. Make sure we cut out and around that, and over here, all of this is a number 1, ones and ones. So lots of ones in there in that blue area. And then we'll have a 1 down here, and then in the lower quadrant down here. We may have a few more 1s that intermingled into the city and into the shrubbery, but those will be finer points. So we'll do an inspection, which I may need my glasses for the inspection for the close-ups. So hang in there. Let me go get my cheaters, my cheater readers, and I will be right there. In the meantime, make sure you have your brushes out and that you've cleaned them. All right. So we're going to start out by dipping them in the water and cleaning them, making sure that you press any excess water out of it. Make sure that there's nothing streaking out of it. You don't have any excess color, and it's not super stiff. You want it to start off very, very soft, and we'll work it so that it gets dipped in the paint and worked really well. And it will stiffen up over the course of the time as we're going through. In addition to that, we're also going to stir our paints. So I'm going to be working with number 1 today, the very first one. So currently we've worked with 4, which was a little one. It was this kind of mauvey purple color. So there was not too much of that. But then we moved from there into, I think, the 0 down the bottom. That's the ultra blue here. So now we're going to get kind of more into a baby blue or a sky blue, right? Into there. I'm more of a brilliant blue. I like the brilliant blues. That's more my style. The aquamarine blues or the royal blues are more. And I take a toothpick and I run it through the paint to make sure that there's no clumps, that it's not dried out, that we've got good texture in there. Stir it up well, and then takes the excess off, and then put that aside. All right, so number 1 is going to be what we're working with today. So I can take these other paints and remove them for now. We'll get into them at a later date or time. So we'll be working with 1. So in addition to that, in addition to the 1, so this is the 0 that we worked with. We also worked with the 9, which is kind of more this Mediterranean blue or a medium blue. We also worked with an 18, this orangey color, and we also worked with the 7, which is this kind of gray-green color. So now we're on to number 1. Let me get those cheaters, and I'll be right there with you. Okay. Question is, where did I put them? Hold on. I might have to go on a road trip here. Go find those glasses. I know I was working with them earlier. Oh, I know. Let me check it out. Yeah, I got them. Like so. All right, now let's get into it. Let's get into it. We ready to get into it? I'm going to take a sip of my coffee first. Make sure that these are somewhat clean before we get going. All right, now if you have any questions, you can shout them out while I'm working here. We'll see if I can read them and get to them in time. What happened to the what above? What happened to the lawnmower and shovel? Yes. Well, the shovel is in its proper place in the garage, and the lawnmower, this property here that I'm at currently does not need a lawnmower, only because I have a lawn service. I don't do the lawn myself. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. So I don't have to. But thank you for your question. Yes, I do have the sit-down mower, my 0-turn mower, for the property up in Alabama. I'm currently in Florida. And the Alabama property, I have to mow acres. So I have a nice Toro sit-down mower for there. And then, my other property in Florida, I have 2 properties in Florida. My other property in Florida also has, technically I have 3 properties in Florida. Anyways, my other property has an electric mower, which is the Cobalt electric mower, because that only has a landing strip of lawn, so I don't have to use it very often. Now I could take the Cobalt here and do the lawn myself. It's included with the because I'm in a golf community, the landscaping is included with the house, so I don't need it here. Yeah. All right. I look like Kirstie Alley in her younger years. Well, thank you. I do appreciate that. She was always a hot chick. Yes. On Cheers. And then the pizza delivery one with Patrick Dempsey. I forget what that one was called. All right. Let's see. Let's get up and over this. I will be working in the top right quadrant here first. because that is, I'm lefty. So lefty, if I start over here and go this way, I'm going to be going across the paint. So I start righty and work my way backwards. All right. So I am still going to, I am. I'm going to still work the edging first. I like it. So we're going to dip the tip, hold it in, cradle it first. Okay, cradle that stick, put it right into the palm of your hand there, the space between the thumb and the forefinger. And we want to apply some firm, but yet somewhat gentle. You need some mobility when you're using your strokes. All right, if you choke the tip, if you get really up in there, you're only going to be able to do tiny little strokes. See that? You can't really move, right? You really can't move. But if you hold it back at the base of that metal and between the metal and the wood, right, then you can really move that around a lot. See, but you do want it firm so it's not just slapping all over the place. You do want to apply some pressure to the top of the paintbrush. Okay, below the metal tip though. That's my suggestion. You do what you want, I guess, right? Okay, now we're going to take it, get some generous amount of paint onto that tip. You want to kind of cover that tip. Now, as you press it in, what you'll find is it will seep into the middle. It'll go onto your canvas, right? And I'm just going to start on this edge over here, get some good coverage. And we have a first little swoopy around, and it runs into another color. So we're going to blend into that color, right? And we're going to cover up any lines that we have. You may have to re-dip often, okay? Because we are going to be using a lot of paint today, and it is going to cover this canvas, okay? And then when you want to get finer tips in there, then you may have to dab it a little bit. And we're going to come down to a point here. So we want to bring that down to a point. You may have to change the angle of the dangle and the way that you stroke it, okay, as we get in there, just so that we're doing the outline of it so we know exactly where we are painting. And we have a lot to cover today. This is a broad area of coverage, and we are up against another color, so we want to make sure that none of the lines that we originally had flow through, okay? We don't want to be able to see any of the black lines. So there is a fine black line that's separating the colors, and we want to make sure that we cover all of that. And now we have a nice long straightaway that's on an angle, and we can cover all of that. All right, so you've got Mary Burke. This is the account for you to follow, like, and we're also going to try to blend a little bit between the two colors so they kind of meld into one another. So thank you for joining me. You've got Mary Burke Live, right? Yeah, exactly. Who needs Bob Ross? You got Mary Burke right here. We're doing paint by numbers. I chose the number 1 so we can feel like we accomplished a lot today. It will take us a minute because there is a broad area. I'm not doing like this was all fine detail work. Today is going to be broad strokes. We're going to be able to let that paintbrush fly a little bit. We won't be so constrained. We'll be able to really just, but what I do want to do here is make sure that these two edges just kind of blend together. Yeah, so we're going to work on some blending. Now, I could take, if I really wanted to, I could take some of the 0 and the 1 and make a little patch of those together. That would be the real way if you wanted to do some blending to make its own color and I may go back over and do that after the fact once we get this, because if I still have some lines in there showing and everything, I don't want those lines showing, and I do want it to have a blended look to it. Okay, so that the one color just kind of melts into the other. So we may go back and do that, but what we're doing right now is just slapping that paint on there, getting as much on there as we can around that edge follow it around so we can just see how massive this area is that we're working, because we are working massive area today. We are not working on a little bit, we're working on a lot of it. So again, your hand may cramp you because you're holding. That would mean you're holding it just a little too tightly. Just let it go. Just let it go, and then refocus. Focus on just a nice grip with that thumb and forefinger, and then we're gonna come around. And remember, you can go back to that well and keep dipping that paint in there. Okay, so we've got a lot of, because we got lots of stuff to cover here today. Okay, and we're coming up. And on this swoop, I'm going to come up and over the top, come in from a different angle. That's just where it is on that canvas. Make sure that you can see what I'm talking about. See, on this one, I skimmed the line, so we're going to work on that squiggle and cover that line. Again, coming up over the top, inside squiggle, inside swirl. I'm probably going to come up over the top and do that inside swirl instead of curving it around. Okay, and then we're going to come back here like so. Yes, all right. Thank you so much for joining me today. You've got Mary Burke Live. This is the account for you to follow, for you to like, to subscribe to share, all of the above as we're working on our masterpiece today, right? We're painting that masterpiece. So get in here and paint with me. Yeah, get in there. Yeah. Isn't it so relaxing, Matt? And I find it to be very relaxing. Working those fine motor skills. You don't realize that you overlook those fine motor skills, in this day of computers and all that other stuff. You're working the keyboard, but you're not really working your hand and your wrist and those fingers. And you really need to make sure that you keep that dexterity. Yeah. So I really enjoy that. There you go. And I originally started doing this as a result. It was my own therapy. I did this and latch hooking as a therapy for an accident that I had in my side by. I flipped my side by and squished my hand a little bit. So the bone just popped out a little, and I had some grips issues. So I wanted to make sure that I didn't have any issue with my grip. And if you have issues with your grip, always work those fine motor skills, right? Yes, very therapeutic. Very, very, very therapeutic. All right. It sounds like Rusty and Stella are having the time of their life over there. They found a toy and they're playing some tug of war or wrestling over there. All right. Make sure that you write a message that I can respond to, especially if you're on YouTube. YouTube likes to redact anything that they deem a little suspect, which is, they're really. I do find that YouTube is kind of tightening up their guidelines, so it becomes a little bit trickier. Yeah, Rembrandt, the Rembrandt of paint by numbers. That's me. Yeah, you can be a Rembrandt too. Just get your paintbrush out. Yeah, get that paintbrush out. Work the strokes. Fill in the nooks and crannies. Right. All right. Redip often. I'm just putting it out there. You can dip it as much as you want. You just don't want that tip to run dry. You want it wet. Okay, you want to keep that tip wet. And you get too much buildup in the middle, right? Because as you push that tip, some of it's going to get on that canvas and squeeze out. The rest of it is going to go down into the body of the brush. So if you find that you've got too much in the middle, you're going to have to squeeze it out. And the best way that I have found to squeeze that out is to apply some direct pressure to the middle of it. And how do we do that? Well, I'm going to lay it flat like so, take a nice spot, and you can see that I'm just going to, there, squish out any excess in the middle. There. And I'll come back to that area, right? So that there's the excess. Now I can go back to putting it just on the tip. All right. Now we have a free edge. I don't have any areas that, are touching another paint. So we can come down until we come down to this number 0 down here. And see here that it's going to take us a minute to outline this because, as I said, it is a massive, massive area that we are working today. And I'm not going to get to the girthy one. Do want to get to my girthy brush, my girthy paintbrush, but I want to do the fine edging first, right? I want to blend those areas first because then if I slop over, once I got an edge going, now if I slop over, I'll slop over into the edging. I won't slop over into the other color. And again, if I wanted to properly blend these colors, what I would do is I would take another little pot like this, and I would take some 0 and some 0 and some 1, blend those together, and then go over the edging, which I might redo after I get the massive area done. But I won't really know. It's going to matter how much the black line bleeds through. So if the black line bleeds through, then I may go do a touch up. And it's okay for you to go back and retouch. You know, that's not a problem. There we go. You do want to try to blend it, but this other blue is dried, so I have nothing to mix it with. I've let it set. And now that it's set, I won't be able to pull any of that color out. So there you go. So now we've got a free edge again. We're just following this all the way around, tracing our lines, right? And you can see that I can use some, as we get into some bigger areas that aren't touched by anything, I can really use a free form and get a nice stroke in there. When I get to the other areas where I am touching, I am going to be a little bit more cautious in my blend method there. I want to cover any lines and blend the color as best I can. So I'll be using a shorter stroke there. All right, you got that? It'll be a shorter stroke. I am sitting on my foot, which is not very comfortable. I'm going to get off that foot. There we go. I just had to get up and over the top of that. I'm going to pull the canvas a little bit more towards me. That feels better. Now I got pins and needles in my foot. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yes. Oh, YouTube has had, YouTube, as any platform, has had all different types of content that they have allowed over the years. I am just saying that as we go along, they've buttoned up on some things and let some other things go. And what they let others do is not necessarily what they let me get away with. So there is some, and I don't get preferential treatment. Let's put it that way. Even though I have almost 2 million followers, there's no preferential treatment. Oh, I still have pins and needles in my foot. I have to bang the foot, bang the foot, bang, 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 bang. Okay. Ow! Look at I kicked my heel. Oops. Didn't mean to do that. Okay. And I said I was only going to do this first section, but I'm tracing this edge and I'm seeing how far this goes. So this goes all the way across that first quadrant there and into this. So I work in quadrants. This is 1, 2. So I started in 2. I should have stopped in the middle here, but I kept on going. And I'm going to have some, so I might have to do all of that. Okay. Let me think on that a minute. All right. I might, see, I like to follow it all the way around, know what I'm working with. All right, I might pick it up back here, okay, because I have some stuff that's up higher on that other one. So let's get this first quadrant done, or second quadrant done, I should say. All right, so now I'm working the underside. All right, I'm going to start back at the beginning on the underside, the underbelly. I'm going to work the underbelly right now. Okay. So we're going to start up here, and we're going to come around. Now we're mixing with the gray. So same thing, if I wanted, I'm okay having a sharp edge here, but if you wanted to blend your edge, so like when you're working in different shades of blue, you probably, you might want to let them blend together. But when we have the gray and the green outline of the forestry of the tree trees and stuff. You might want it to be a little bit sharper and not have it blend. So in that case, I may not blend those colors together. I might just try to give it a sharper edge. So thank you for joining. You got Mary Burke live. Yes, thank you for thinking I look beautiful. I do appreciate that today. Yes. Yeah, you think I look one of the volunteer actresses? You mean the extras? I look like an extra? It's funny because in near me they are shooting a movie and they were looking for extras. Okay, so I have to be a little bit more cautious here because that's where I put my extra paint. Remember I was squeezing out the middle? I put some extra paint there, so I don't want to touch the extra paint. But what I can do with this, the beautiful thing about having a canvas that's on, not on an easel, is that I can actually just turn the canvas the way that I want to and not necessarily have to change my hand grip. Again, resting between my thumb and forefinger, extending all the way up into my palm here. Light but firm grip, and we're just swooshing around at the moment. And we're trying to keep it rather a distinct edge, not a blended edge on this greenery here. Right? You want to apply full color. You want to get all that color in there, but you want to keep it a relatively sharp edge. Right? There you go. All right, now that we got around that peninsula of a tree, we can come around the bottom side and get back into that landscape. I haven't filled in, this one is going to be a 16, and we got a 16 and a 3. So I try not to overdo the numbers, because if you do paint over the numbers, you're not going to know when you go back. Right? Like, is that a 2? Is that a 3? Is that a 7? Is that a 10? You know, usually you can eyeball it and know what you know, if we were talking about sizes, you can eyeball it and know that a 10 is different than a 3. But when we're dealing with just the number, if you've painted over it, you're not going to be able to tell. And my measuring tape won't help us. Will it? Yes, we're in the bottom side now. We're on to the bottom. Right? The bottom edge. Tracing that bottom edge, covering it with paint, outlining it. And the 3s, they made the 3s pretty large, which is kind of funny because 3 is not a large number at all. But they made the 3s pretty large in the little box you have to paint, and it kind of spills over the edge. Now the 8s and stuff, I understand that, and the bigger numbers, they made the big numbers super tiny, like 17. You almost need a magnifying glass. That's the opposite. You should be able to see 17 from a mile away. But that's just me. Maybe I should give the paint by numbers people some tips, huh? Now, if you have any painting tips, you can certainly put your painting tips right in the comments there. Make sure it's not naughty though, because YouTube and everybody will redact it, or hold it the comment from review. So you have to make sure that your dirty is clean, if you know what I mean. All right, so now we're onto this gray. This is more like a bush. See this bulbous bush here? This is more of a bush than a tree. We've had some tall spires here of trees, but you know, erect, pointy trees. Now we've got this little fluffy thing here that's more like a bush. So it's more circular out and around the bush. Yes. Thank you for thinking I'm artistic. Again, I do this, 1, it's a mental therapy. 2, it's a hand therapy, very therapeutic. And I think it's important that we use our paintbrushes every day and we use our hands every day. So I think so if I wasn't doing this, I'd probably be doing some latch hooking, which if you haven't seen, that's fun when I do the latch hooking. I have to slide the steel shaft into the box. It's got a crook in the box, not a crook in the box. It's got a hilt or a curvature to the shaft. So that one's always fun. And then, tying that box up tight. And there's 70 boxes on just on one row alone. So I love doing that too. And then I end up making a pillow out of it. So, right, re-dip often. Don't let your paintbrush run dry. All right. Yes. Yes. The tall timber, there is some. We won't get into touching that tall timber today. They're down lower here. I did have some tall timber at the top. Right now I'm on a shrubby bush kind of thing. And then this is a big fluffy tree here, but my number one won't be touching it today. Yeah, we won't, there is no place in there. And let me look into this top quadrant, make sure I don't miss any ones. Threes is the lowest number that I'm coming across. So I do this first quadrant here. I just make sure, because some of the reflection might be in the windows, so there could be a 1 in there. But so far, I am not seeing a 1 anywhere. But that's good for me to, thank you for reminding me to double check. I've got a double 1, which is an 11. But no, I don't have any 1s in there that I have to worry about. Okay, so now you can see that we're coming around that bottom. We've got a nice big bulb here. Nice big, we might get into some fluffy clouds or something. What is 3? What color is 3? 3 is kind of this pinkish color, so it looks like we're going to have some pink fluffy clouds in there. So, and again, when we're in the clouds and in the sky, I might come back and refreshen my edges with some blended color so that it melds the two colors together and they just flow from one to the other. So thank you. You made a mess. You have to be able to control the tip a little bit. All right. If you just free-handing it and just slapping it all around, that you're gonna make a mess. So you might have to button it up a little bit and be a little bit firmer grip on that tip. All right, but thanks for letting me know that you made the mess. Hopefully you've got some paper towels and some water and everything to clean up your mess. Yes, always important. You can use a cloth or a rag as well. I know that I prefer to use the paper towel because I can just throw it away afterwards. But if you make that mess, it is important that you don't leave it for someone else to clean up. You got to clean up your own messes, right? So, but I do appreciate your honesty there for letting me know that you made a mess. It happens. Sometimes you just can't control that brush. It gets away from you. It happens to me too. I think I'm going to be working on it a lot longer than it is, and that before you know it, that buildup in that middle, if you press it enough and hard enough, it just ends up all over the place. So, you just at that point you just got to control that tip. Yeah, or do your best. All I can say is do your best. Okay, promise me you'll do your best. So, okay, and we're just swooshing it around, making sure that we got good coverage there. I had an extra on that tip, so I'm kind of fanning it out and not just running it down the line. If I just run it down the edge, then I'll make a big glop down that edge. So I kind of need to fan it as I go. All right. Don't be afraid to just, spread it out. Spread it out. And don't worry about it, just, because it can build up in that tip too. Especially if you just re-dipped it, it can have a lot of excess on there. And you got to be a little bit careful that you don't just, put a big glob down at one time. There you go. So thank you for joining me. Make sure you hit follow. Make sure you hit, give me a comment, a like, subscribe, share, all of the above. You can also check out my profile page because I am simul broadcasting on, we got Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and and Facebook. So it is my verified Facebook. It's my almost 2 million follower YouTube, and it's my almost 1.3 million Instagram. So make sure you help support me and get over to those other platforms, and make sure that you are subscribing there as well. So that way you can get my most up-to-date content. If I don't go live on one place, I might go live on another place. So you never know. And you never know who's going to restrict me and why. I was having trouble the last couple of weeks between the platforms. So most pages I do have a backup. I don't call any of my pages backup, by the way. So anybody that claims to be me and it says backup, that's a falsity. That there is no, you know. So for instance, I on TikTok I have Real Mary Burke again, but my backup there is Mary the Goat. Yes, the greatest of all time. Not that I am a goat. Well, I am a goat. I gotta know where I'm a goat at. All right, and then from there, okay, we're gonna close this little peninsula off. It's gonna come down to a tip. We want to come down to a fine tip here, like so. All right, and now we can meld these two together. All right, oops, I get a little build up in the middle. So see, when it builds up in the middle like that, you got to squish it back towards the tip and see if you can get it to come out the tip. All right, and then you can work that back over that section that you couldn't do before. See how that works? All right, now we can do a little bit brush. Okay, and then I want to squeeze that out in the middle, kind of drain my brush, because I'm going to clean it, because we're going to move to, oh, well, no, I can't exactly do that yet. I have some islands here, some islands in the middle. So I have some other blues here in the middle. I'm going to go back and outline those as well, and then we're going to get to our free form. All right, so stay tuned to make sure that you're here for the free form with that thick, girthy one. Right, with that thick brush. Here we go. And then we're going to come back this way, like so. And again, we want to make sure that the black lines are gone, because we're going color on color. So since they're two blues, you don't want to have a black line in the middle that says, hey, this is a paint by number. You want to make it look like it's your masterpiece. So you work on your masterpiece and I'll work on my masterpiece, and we'll compare notes, okay? See how much coverage you got and see how much coverage I got. Okay, and again, again, a lot of these, I can see the black line bleeding through, so I may come back and blend the 0 and the 1 and do a touch-up. We'll just have to see how they dry and see how it goes. Okay, so we're on to this next one. Let's go around here. Got to make sure you got enough paint on your tip. See, as some of this stuff dries up here, I can see it bleeding through, so we're going to give a second coat. It's okay to go over and give it it'll be a little bit thicker, but it's okay to reapply and give a second coat. No harm, no foul there. And again, if we're going to end up blending it, and you'll be able to, really mix it up. Okay, so this was a wider one, so I could really, it wasn't like I had to do a lot of fine. I had a lot on the tip there. You can see I get a big spooge. There's a big spooge right there. So we're going to move that spooge out and around, blend it in, feather it, and make sure that we cover that black line. There we go, like so. Okay, now we got this kind of a U-shaped one. You can't really tell, but I guess it has a little island. Okay, let me do this one first. Let's do this little triangle teardrop one first, like so. Okay, there we go. You having fun with me? Yeah, it's nice to see you too, Peter. Thanks for joining in. Thank you for joining me today. Hi there, Ricky. Hi, Richard. Hi, Jean-Paul. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Yes, yes. I definitely prefer the longer brushes. I don't like the stubby one. This little stubby one, it is a lot harder for me to work with than the longer brushes. I definitely prefer the longer brushes over those stubby ones. Now, I mean, I suppose they all have their, I'm doing the island in the middle, and then we got to do the exterior. Now, see, I might need that stubby one for this very reason right there, is I need to get in there and get good coverage, but it's a very tight, small area to work with. So I found an application for the stubby one, I believe. But I have to go out and around the edge of this first. And then, like so, get that edge. Okay, so now I am going to use that fine tip there. And then we're going to come back into that middle, do that fine point, and get some more coverage with just that little bit of color right there. There we go. All right. And then when I'm done with that, I'm just going to clean it again. I don't want that buildup to make my tip too hard, because then I won't be able to use it again. And the whole thing is that you want to keep it clean so you can use it over and 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 over again. So, all right. Now we're on to the next little island here, the blue, which these are clouds, so it's not an island, but you know what I'm saying. Little longer teardrop. Now this one's like a Shazam. This is more like a lightning rod. It hitches in the middle, goes down to a point. Shazam! And then it crooks out and moves, shifts to the left or right a little bit. Sorry, I'm having trouble with my lefts and my rights because the page is upside down. Okay, and then we're on to the thicker one here. Again, I'm just working these outlines, making sure that we've got the lines covered, we're blending it okay, and then I can get into some broad strokes. But right now, it's pretty tight in there, and we're just doing our thing. Okay. I believe that's the last one for this quadrant. Yeah. Okay. Again, I'm gonna take off my excess, right? Squish it in the middle, press all the excess out of it, right? I should have put it over that one because that one is going to be hard to cover up. It's a light blue, so it's going to need a lot of paint. Okay, now we've dipped it, we've cleaned it, it's all good there. All right, now I think we're ready. We're ready. Ready to go to the next phase and get that thick one out, okay? Do you have your thick brush handy? Right? Yeah, I'm amazing today. Thank you. I look amazing. I just want I found this t-shirt that I've had it. And I don't wear t-shirts often, so you should know that I don't wear t-shirts. But I made it a muscle shirt and put a little V in it to make it my own. And okay, now look at all that coverage I'm putting on this thick, girthy one. Same technique. You're going to cover that tip with paint, and you're going to rest it, cradle it. Just give it a loving touch right there in the palm of your hand. And then I dropped it. And I spooged everywhere. Okay, make sure that I don't cover up the number. The beautiful thing about latex paint, there you go, is that it's latex paint. And I can do some finger painting. All right, if you make a mistake, which I did, I made a boo-boo. Did a boo-boo. Okay, hold on. Let's put that there. We're going to take this. I'm going to do a dab. I'm going to get a little bit. Oh, I see another big dab in there. Okay. And I got another big glob. Pull that glob off. Yeah, see, it covered up that 8. You didn't know it was an 8. Okay, we're going to dab it. See, it'll pull up. Remember he said clean your messes? Clean your messes. If you make a mistake, now, does not need much. Okay, does not need much to clean it. Because we want to be careful that we don't cover or pull up paint on something that we've already done. And there, it's all clean. I did it. I did it. See, and that's how you can clean it up. Clean up your messes. Don't leave them. Okay. But see, I wasn't in control of the tip. I was playing with the stick part of it, and I didn't have my fingers gripping the tip. So that's how you know. Hi there from Italy. Thanks for joining on. Yes, thank you for being here. Yes. Thank you. Yes. All right. It is nice out. You should leave your paintbrushes out. It's a great day. Great day. Now I should be able to do some broad strokes. I'm going to go spin it around, and we're going to get up here, and I can go off page because it doesn't matter about that edge, right? You're going to cover that edge, right? And now look at how much coverage we've got. And you can use the back side of the brush too. Don't be afraid, right? You're going to be a little bit more cautious. Again, it's a lot of coverage, a lot of paint on these broad strokes. You can start at the top and just blend it down. You can do nice, long strokes with it, right? There we go, like so. Look at that. And then we got all that coverage in there, right? As long as you just match it up to the edging that you did. Now, if you decide to freeform it and go wider than that, then you're going to run into some problems. I do have to be a lot more delicate right in through here around those trees and shrubbery. We can make those nice big strokes there. You're going to be dipping often, okay? You're going to be dipping often right in here and make sure that you get full coverage. Now, when we get into little areas, I may go back and see how I have this little area right here on the top. I'm going to go back to my thinner brush, re-dip and apply. And I can do some longer strokes in there with good coverage, and I don't have to worry about hitting the edges. But that little canal was a little too wide for my thick brush. So you don't want to use that super thick brush if you've only got a little canal to go through. You've got to make sure that you're only using the thick stuff on thick, right? Thick on thick. Make sure it can accommodate that thickness. You can try to squeeze it in. Again, I got a thin canal at the top here, and I'm going to work that thin canal at the top right here and blend that all in. Make sure that I got full coverage, that the canvas is covered, right? And that I am using good technique right there. Okay. Now, again, at the bottom, right here, it is a little bit suspect in this little cutout area. So we're going to use that thinner brush. But as you can see, I'm double fisting here. I've got the thick one in one hand and the thin one in the other. All right. Now I can put the thin one down for a bit and just go thick. Put it on there thick. Thank you for sending me the love. I do appreciate that. Thanks for the love, the hearts, the likes. Make sure you put your comments. I just saw on, this is a different color. Make sure I don't color over something. Okay, no, the first color is over there, so I still got broad strokes there. Okay, so make sure you put your comments right in the comment section or questions. Don't put them in the question section, because if you put them in the question section, I won't have time to be able to review them. Thank you for thinking I look beautiful today. I do appreciate that. Make sure you're hitting up all my platforms, right? All my authorized platforms are listed in my profile links. So make sure that you're heading there. I'm going to try to squeeze it. It is a rather thinner canal. I may just have to use one side of it, not to put the whole girthy brush down in there. But we're going to try to edge it a little bit there. Okay. We can do it. We can work on that technique, right? In there, move that canvas around as you need it, provided your canvas is movable, right? If I had it up on an easel, we would not be having this flexibility. But I like having it flat. Hello there from Austria. Thanks for joining me. I do appreciate that. Oh, I do have TikTok is asking me to verify. Oh, and I got more. I cross-contaminated over there too. All right, so when I do that, I have to put this on there so that they know that I'm really a person and not a bot. So, and I want to clean off that one as well because I'm going to grab that and then I'll have paint all over my hand. So we don't want that. Okay, so as you can see, we're working on this top quadrant, this second quadrant here, and filling in all that glorious color. Nice bright blue, sky blue, powdery blue. Okay, and then make sure I'm not overstepping my boundaries and coloring over something I shouldn't. Nope, that was where I just squeezed it out earlier. So it's all good there. And you can put some swirls in this paint, right? It's the clouds, so sometimes it looks swirly, right? It's not just a straight line, right? And you can, can have some bursts in it, right? Some swirls and some bursts. Don't have to think so linear, right? And painting those straight lines. This one is, I'm going to have to use the tip again. Just adjust the tip just a little bit because that canal is out and around that other color is not quite thick enough. But if you just tip it to the side a bit, you might be able to get more. You don't have to change your brush. There you go. All right. Easy peasy. We're out and around. Right? And then we're going to come down here. Here to this. This is only the first quadrant. I have a whole nother quadrant to go. And then we're going to be a little bit more gentle around the mixing of the colors. Now I did do an edging around all of that, so we should be pretty safe. But just to be on the safe side, be a little bit more cautious of blending that color. Okay? I am a person, really. You've been following me for years now? Thank you. Thank you, Rudy, for following me for years. I love to hear that. And you know that it's really me. So like, again, if you're gonna follow me on different platforms, make sure that you go to my profile links because it'll show my authorized platforms for all my different social medias, right? I have all the main stuff plus a few special ones. So you gotta make sure that you are in the know, right? You gotta be in the know where to go when I'm live, and make sure that you're catching my lives. Because in case, oftentimes I have problems with the different platforms for different compliance reasons. They've changed some of their guidelines and they only tell me they changed their guideline after I've done something. So in that respect, you want to make sure that you're up to date and you know where to go, right? You like seeing me live? So this is what you got to do. You hit follow, subscribe, and then from that follow and subscribe, you can cross follow. I'm okay with that. You can help me get to 2 million followers on YouTube and 1.3 million on Instagram. Yeah. 100,000 on my TikTok. TikTok loves to shut me down. They just love it. Between the Karens and their guidelines, even when I think I'm being rated G, they think I'm not. So. Oh, that's a big glob on there, and I got it all over my hands today. We're getting messy today. Yes, we are. We're getting messy today. And I'm moving left to right on purpose. I am left-handed, so I am a southpaw. So in order for me to not get that paint all over my hand, we're going to follow that swoosh. As it swooshes around, kind of move with it. Move, flow with it. Yes, let that paint flow. Yeah, don't be afraid to let it go. Let it go. Let it go, let it go. I'm also gonna pull some out of the top there. Make sure I use all that paint. Okay, we're getting into a little bit closer quarters over here. I have, like I said, outlined it all, but you just want to be a little bit more careful with your tip. It's broad. If you're using the broad tip, you might have to move to a finer tip. Yeah. All right, we're going to finish that off. And for this little section up here, I'm going to switch back. We're going to do a switch back. Yeah, we're going to do a workaround. We're going to switch it back to that lighter, the smaller one. I'm going to just angle this, see if I can just angle the dangle there. Okay. And I didn't use it too long ago, so we should be good with the tip. Remind me to clean the tip on this next one so it doesn't get too hard. You dip that paint, make it wet, and let it flow. Let it flow. Let it go. There we go. Right up and in there. All right. And you can pull that. If you have extra paint in one section, you can pull it to another section. Right? Like that. Look at that. Look at that. Don't you feel like a sense of accomplishment when you splash that everywhere? All right. This little section down here, I'm going to keep working down here because this is, again, a nice tighter little area. So we're going to fill that in. There we go. And draw that all the way back out like so. And then we're into this last little section here of this quadrant. Now I'm going to dip that into the cleaner. Give it a good couple of strokes even in there, right? Go side to side, swish it, right? Swirl it. You want all the paint out of there. Dab it. Don't damage the tip because you can, if you dab it too hard, you're gonna hurt the tip, right? So you don't wanna damage your tip. And then we're gonna brush it and pull anything extra out of there. And we're gonna put it aside. Put it aside for now. Thanks for joining me. You've got Mary Burke Live. Yes. You're Southpaw too? Ah, right. A Southpaw's got to stick together. So, okay, I'm going to show you that first quadrant in a second. Let me just finish my broad strokes here. Okay. And then we're going to try to utilize all that in here. Right there. May have to again switch to that finer tip if I can't quite get the right angle to the dangle on it. Just one more second and I should be done. And okay, voila. So now you can see a little bit better. So now we've filled in that blue across that top quadrant over here. You can see the two colors kind of melding together, right? Now we got to do it on this side over there. Thank you for the rose. I do appreciate that. So now we got to go back to trimming out the edging. So we're going to put our thick brush away for a minute. I am going to run out the paint that's on there. I want to utilize as much of that paint and not waste it. Okay, so we're going to run it out. Right. And then we're going to dip it again, swirl it, right? Swirl it around in circles, lefts, rights, across, sideways. Going to pull any of that paint out there. Okay, tap it a little bit, but don't damage the tip. I'm going to give it some little love taps, tap, 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 tapping. And then we're going to pull it out and make sure that it's running clear. If you pull it out and it's still running, it's still got color in it, and it's coming out kind of milky or white, then you know that you haven't quite got it all out. You're going to have to go back and re-dip. Okay, I'm going to go back to my edging brush. And I'm going to get back up and over. I got to get back up and over the top. But I might, hold on, I have a cushion. So I'm gonna sit on my cushion and that should be better, right? If I get up over the top of it, kneel on that cushion. All right, still gonna make my legs numb. I know that. All right, So we have a lower one down here. I'm not gonna worry about that. I gotta get the upper ones first, okay? And I do have some upper ones to get into. So we're gonna follow this edge around, and then I'm gonna move over to this side over here. So I'm a little curious why they have an edge there when it's 1 and 1, but that's okay. Hmm. 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 Oh, I know why. Because my edging ended there. Ha! I brushed the wrong color in there. That's actually a 3. Okay, now I got it. See, I was so excited to brush my tip out that I wasn't paying attention to where I was going. All right, because I did outline the edge there. All right, so we're going to come around here. Going to start up there, work that up there, come around all the way. And I'm going to be leaning up and over into your area here. So I hope you're all right with that, with me leaning. Yeah. Okay, do you have a lot of, I might have to put the glasses back on to make sure that I get the paint in the right spots. It's a little bit finer up here. So just make sure that you have control of your tip and not lose control of your tip like I did earlier when I spooged everywhere in the downward section. All right, there we go. When we were working the bottom, and I was so excited to get into the fat brush, into that girthy thick brush, I accidentally spooged and dropped the tip, and it went into some other colors. So you gotta have control of your tool at all times. All right, got that? Got control of your tool at all times. There we go. Yeah, get control of that tool at all times. Okay, and then we're gonna get into this there. Like so. That's a little one. Okay, then we're gonna come back here. Reapply. Don't worry about getting that tip wet. You gotta get it wet. If it runs dry, it's not gonna blend well, and it's gonna bleed through, and you don't want. You're gonna have all sorts of problems with your paintbrush if you let it run dry. Always important to keep it wet. Not to mention the chafing. Okay. There you go. All right. Now we're working on this one up here in the top, like so. And then once I get done with the top and I get back into that kind of middle quadrant, I can sit back a little bit and enjoy this with you. But I want to just slap that paint on there. Right? Don't you just want to slap it on there? Right? I really just want to go to town and get that thick brush out and work it. There we go. We got some swooshes. We got a nice little. Make sure you guys can see me over there too. And I got to keep moving this over to make sure my paint dries. All right. And I will be working left to right on all of this. Okay. Now, if you have any questions, you can put it in there. Yes, well, some paints, like if you have, that Krylon paint or the spray paint, they'll have the little metal balls in there that you just shake it, and that'll make sure that the paint doesn't get hard. And it keeps the consistency that you want. These acrylic paints don't have that same capability to it. So you gotta, I keep stirring it. I keep stirring it and stirring it to make sure that I don't get any clumps or lumps in it, because that even the edging in there will dry out if I don't, keep working it. So I'm gonna push, I have a lot of paint there. I'm gonna push that paint back up. We're gonna swoop it up. I'm gonna swoops up. See, and so you can work at different angles with that. You can work it left to right, right to left. There you go. Don't be afraid to experiment. It's okay to experiment. It's paint by numbers. How bad can it get, right? Okay. And then we get this little wider section. I'm just going to stick with this littler brush for now because it's not really all that big of an area to work with. So And I really should pull the paint off that other color, but I'm not going to. So we're just gonna, it'll be fun when it'll have a slightly different texture to it when I hit it with the 3. Oh, 3 is the pink though. All right, I can make that work. It'll be a little bit extra in there. We'll see how that white and blue works together. Okay, so now we're gonna come down to this other one over here and swirl that around like so. All right, you have your paintbrush in hand. If you don't, you should definitely have your paintbrush in hand. Yes, yes. Does anybody else have some interesting painting techniques? You know, do you work it left to right? Do you work it up and down? Do you use an easel? What are your painting techniques? I'd be interested to hear. Yeah, sometimes you have to work with just what you got. Like I am fortunate enough, like some of you might only have one paintbrush to work with. Me, I have multiple paintbrushes to work with. So I can go thick, I can go thin, I can apply as necessary and keep dipping that over and over again. I've got 4 different brushes I can work with here. How many brushes do you have? Now what's the brushes that you got? Yeah, paint by numbers right here. Thank you for joining. You've got Mary Burke Live. Make sure that you have hit follow, subscribe, join, uh, give me a comment and a like. In addition to that, you should also check out my profile page and click on the profile links so you can see all of my authorized social media platforms. Yes, they're all out there for you. Oh, thank you for the heart crown. I do appreciate the heart crown. Thank you. And the hearts and the love. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And some fire. I got some fire over there too. So thank you, thank you, thank you. You know, and I have all the social medias. It's important for you to follow me on different ones, not just the one that you're on, because what if I get slapped on the wrist and I can't go live on that one next day? Then you got to know where you can find me, right? So if you follow me on multiple platforms, then you'll get notified, and you can follow me on multiple different platforms. And I have a couple of special platforms too. So make sure you're following them all, right? Make sure you're following them all. All right. And I am kneeling on that, hoping that my feet don't go numb while I am kneeling here. But I am in that top part. And even though I can pull it closer to me, the rest of the canvas would be draped over my lap. And that's not very comfortable. And what I'm doing now is I'm getting into these little fine nooks and crannies, creating an edging, right? So that when I come by with my big brush, I don't have to go right up to the edge. Now I come out, swoop, and this is a dangle down. It's like dingleberries there, dangling down. And because we got to go up, it goes up high, then it drops down. It's like an upside down heart, right? I got one cheek over there. I got another cheek over here. There we go. And we get some points. Had our own point sitting way up high. Quote our Bob Seger song. Okay. Way up firm and high. All right. Yeah, thank you for thinking it looks beautiful. It's coming along. We're gonna making some headway. Making some headway. Thank you for joining me. Make sure you have your paintbrush out too. You want to help me paint? Yes. This is the Mediterranean seascape here that we're working on. Working on our fluffy blue clouds. Right now I got some finer edging that I'm doing. Okay. Well, there's a little one, little number 1 stuck in the corner there. Gotta get that one too. Let's get this one. There we go. All right. Slap that paint on there. All right. And you just don't want the black line to show through, because then you're really broadcasting that you're, painting by numbers. You don't want to broadcast to everybody that you're painting by numbers. You want this to be your masterpiece, right? And when you're painting, you want to make it your own, right? And you just want to splash that paint everywhere. I know I do. I want to splash that paint everywhere. So I know if I want to do it, I know you want to do it. There we go. Ooh, I got a little semicircle in there. We're going to fill in that semicircle and paint. There we go. And then I don't have to worry about this because it's the edging. So we can paint that edging. Now we're going to go back and trace the lower outline. All right, where's our lower outline? Here it is. Pick it up on the bottom and swirl it around, right? We got to dip down and swirl around. We got a little peninsula hanging down. Got a little peninsula there. Work that peninsula. Right? And if you don't have a great angle of it, you can either change the canvas around, or I'm starting to get pins and needles in one. Or you can change the angle of the dangle that you use in your brush. Okay, now we got a big swoop. Look at that big swoop. That's like I don't know, what's big and round, but only one of them. It swoops, hangs down. There you go. All right, now we're going concave on this side. We got a big outward or concave one on here. And then we're gonna come down to another point I can see that's gonna rather stubby stick out. Got a rather stubby stick out. I don't know that there's gonna be enough white paint, blue paint here. Number one paint. And a big area to cover. There's a lot in there. Okay. Sometimes you're like, they should have given me 2 of those. Okay, this is rather fine in here. So we're gonna have to be a little bit more cautious there, and there, and here, and up and through there. Yeah, we're gonna have to use a little more caution. That's a caution area. All right. Again, we're just working the outline. Just working that outline of those blue fluffy clouds. And then we're going to come in and fill it with a lot of paint. Right? Okay, so then we're going to come down into this, into there, that. I still have some more number one down lower, so it'll be interesting to see if I can get it all in there. How much paint coverage am I going to have to spread it thin, or am I going to have to make some more one with some white and darker blue? We'll see, because I'm already done with the 0, so I might have to brighten that 0 up a little bit. Okay, now I'm going to sit down again because they're starting to go numb. All right. Thanks for thinking I look beautiful today. Thank you, thank you. Relaxing and dipping your paintbrush. Right, there we go. We're going to dip that paintbrush. Dip it, dip it. Okay. And then I'm going to work it back a little bit, and then get out of these tight corners here. And if I have any islands, I gotta outline the island. See, I got a little island here. That's gonna be a number 0. So where we also, is that a 0? Oh, I missed a 0. Remind me, I gotta fill in with 0 on that one. I missed that one when we were painting the last time. So that's a 0. God. Oh. I'm gonna have to stomp that foot again. Let me stomp it. It's me, Stella. Don't get upset. Okay. See, like if I press on it too hard, I kind of crease the canvas. We don't want to do that. Maybe I'll try a roll up. Maybe we try a roll up instead. Okay, we're rolling it. All right. So did I get everything outlined in that one? Okay, yeah. Okay, so we're gonna work this right here in that little section. Excellent. Make sure you've got your paintbrush in hand, you've got a cradle between that thumb and forefinger. You have enough pressure on it to control that tip, and I'm just, doing slight small dabs right now because we're working in a tight area. I'm not really doing some broad strokes yet. I'll get into those broad strokes in a second. All right. So now from here, I can put this one down for a minute and go for our thicker one. We're moving back to our thick, our girthy one. And then we're going to dip that paint in there, and we're going to come down, and we're just going to get in there and paint all that. And try to get up in there and get full coverage. Work it, but don't paint over your little island that was stuck in there. Okay. I'm going to have to go back and paint that 0 at another time. I don't want to paint it when it's all wet. It might be better to blend it, but I do want it to dry a little bit. Okay, so now we're going to swirl this around. So now we can get into some swirlies. And if it slides down into the medium of your brush, make sure you lay it flat and kind of apply some firmer pressure to it. There. And flip it. You can flip it to the opposite side. Make sure you're getting it out of both sides, not just one. All right. Maximize your paint coverage. There we go. All right. Now we're moving. Now we're moving. Right? There you go. Now we are moving and grooving. And you can use some longer strokes and go slower. I was just so excited I was moving fast because I finally freed up from that little one that I forgot that I could really maximize my stroke here, right? Go into a nice longer stroke, right? Get some swirls in there. I do have a little stick out there, so we're gonna go and then come back down into this area. Again, don't let your brush run dry. We're gonna stick it back in there, get some nice paint on there. Right, and then we're going to work it all the way down, and you can then spread that paint all around. Right, that should be enough to cover the rest of this area down here. Right, shouldn't need to re-dip again if you've got enough paint on that tip. Because we have the back side. Don't forget about the back side. Get the back side too. Okay, and then if you need to, compress it a couple of places, like so. All right, now that one is done. Woohoo! All right, do I have any little ones? Number ones, exactly what we're looking for, little ones, okay. I'm gonna go back to my centerpiece. I have one here that's splitting quadrant 1 and 2. So I'm gonna go back to that one and work my way back left to right, okay. These ones should be quick. They should be quickies. So we got this one here, dab will do ya, right? And then this one is more pointy, flat, with some zigzags at the bottom. And then we're going to pull it up. And then this one looks like a walnut or something. It's got little nooks and crannies, and some blooms, and some sharp edges, and some rounded edges. And then we're going to pull that across, like so. And then we go back up, swoop back up, squares off at the top, and then we're going to swoop back down again, like so. And this is a smaller section, so I'm not really worried about working the edge. I'm working the whole thing at one time. I think it's good sometimes to work the whole thing at one time, and not just edging, not just filling it in as you go, right? Sometimes you just want to, bang it out and get her done. So this little area here is a bang it out and get it done kind. There we go. And I am leaving the black edging because I have another paint that is going, the number 2 is going to come in and fill that in. Okay, now we get the dangle down. Okay, so we're coming back to this one here We haven't been on this one for a minute from the mid grain. Okay, but I don't think I have any more ones until I get over here. So we're gonna work the bottom. We're tracing our bottom down. Okay, trace that bottom down. And then it'll zigzag down and around, swoop out and around. There'll be some squiggles. Make sure you have good control of your tip, right? Because you're gonna need it. Then we have a nice flat edge, so you can swoop and blend with the flat edge. You've got Mary Burke Live. Make sure that you hit follow, subscribe, join, all the above, right? And then we're painting today. We're painting our masterpiece today. Paint by numbers. Paint by number masterpiece. Yes, I could fill a bucket. I could fill a bucket with the amount that you've lost. Oh, I like it. Gallons. You need a gallon of paint, right? Okay. I'm telling you, you got to control that tip. Keep working it and edging it around. Right? Make sure that you don't spill too early or too much. There we go. All right, and then it's going to come down to it got a narrow channel, and then it got bulbous towards the bottom here. So we're just filling that in. I'm not going to come back to that. I'm just going to swirl around this edge. Now again, I'm working left to right to left. I am a lefty, so some of these angles are not preferable. I might have to come up over the top and work it backwards to make sure I got good coverage there. And then if I can get up in this one, well, I might be running out of paint. I might have to squeeze that middle a little bit. Yeah, squeeze that middle and work that paint down. There we go. See how we did that? I was able to maximize what I got. Hi there, thanks for joining me. Make sure you hit follow and subscribe too, right? This is the account for you to follow and subscribe as we paint my masterpiece. You can help me paint this masterpiece. You just have to get your paintbrush out. Make sure that you're dipping that tip often. I don't want your paintbrush to dry out. Okay, you gotta work it and work it all the way around. We're just doing this edging right now. Gotta keep working those edges, and then I can fill in the middle once I got the edge complete. But I trace that edge, I work it, I make sure it's got plenty of paint on it. I might have to pull some paint out at a later time when I get back to it and I'm filling in the middle. So there you go, like that. And then we're gonna, ooh, this is a skinny one. This is a fine skinny one right here. You gotta get between a little drop. There we go. All right. And then we're going to pull that all the way down. Now we can use a much more fluid, longer stroke down over that edge. And then I might have gotten a little bit too much on here because we got into some squiggles. When you get into the squiggles, you got to make sure that you have control of that tip again. Oh, nose got itchy. Sorry about that. I don't know why my nose got itchy. Probably my hair. My hair probably dangled down in my face. So, okay, now we're going to come over here and again pull that up. I can see a big glob in the middle there that worked its way. It went backwards. It went from the tip into the meat of the brush. So I'm going to have to dip the tip again, get more paint on that tip, and then I'm going to have to force some out of that middle there. Let's go to a wider spot when I have a moment, pull some of that color out of it. And I get a flatter edge, see like here, get a flatter edge, I can just kind of squish some of that, apply some direct pressure on it. There you go. Excellent. And then we're going to come up over here, more squiggles, more squiggles, more squiggles. All right. How you doing? You guys all good today? It's a Thursday. So if you've been with me during this week, every day at 11, I do something a little bit different. Yesterday was lower body focus. We did a workout together. We worked on that lower extremities, our glutes, our thighs, our calves, our hamstrings, and our quads. And even though it was body weight, I can feel it a little bit today. Yeah, it was a little tight there today. And I like that. I like that tightness. I like when I wake up and it feels good to have done that work. Okay, so I'm tracing this around. I have to pick up where I left off. Doesn't it feel good? You know, to have that kind of, a sense of accomplishment. You're like, okay, that did something. Sometimes you do a workout and you're like, did I really do anything? Did it really change anything? Might have maintained something, but it didn't really change anything. So I really felt it this morning, which was good. Which means I worked on some areas that I hadn't worked recently either. So it's always good. You're only as strong as your weakest link. So if you come up against something that you've been avoiding or you're not working, whether it be a workout or food or exercise or mental things that you don't want to touch, you have to do the work. You have to do the work. You're only as strong as your weakest link. So you gotta work it. Sometimes you don't wanna. I got it. I procrastinate too. Okay, now we gotta get up into this area. Everybody procrastinates. Everybody has that one thing that they procrastinate on, right? Now I'm gonna blend this color because I have a matching color. Okay. So we've already painted a portion of that. And then we're gonna come in here, work that down. So thank you for joining me. What's on the bottle? Which bottle? Where's the bottle? You mean this bottle? Are you talking about my coffee mug? That's Walt Disney World is on my coffee mug, if that's the bottle that you're talking about. Okay, we're working this. Gotta work that. And then come around there. And come around there. And then come back here. And divot. And I got those two lonely ones, two little eyes. Up in here, two little round blotches of the one color up here. This one's a little bit more oblong. One was round and one's more oblongy. Fill that color in, right? And swoosh it down. And make sure you can color it all the way in. Okay, good. And then we're down to where am I at? I'm up here, tracing this edge, like so. Again, if any of the black line bleeds through, I will be coming back over it with a blended color, because I'll take some of this color and the 0 or the 2 or what have you, do another blue color and meld them together to blend the color if need be. But we're not there yet. So, and now I have to outline my islands or my little other, these are little dewdrops or what have you of different color within the blue that we're working with. This is some of the 0. So again, I want to outline that. So when I get to my big brush, some of the stuff that's real tight, I'm going to stay with my tiny brush. And this isn't even the tiniest of the brushes. I have a much tinier brush here, but I don't like to use that only in extreme circumstances, only if I have to dab it. Okay, I'm much more of a big brush gal. I like the bigger brushes, fluffier brushes. Okay. And then this area here. Again, pull all that paint. If you've got excess paint in one area, do not be afraid to pull it from one section to another. You want to pull it and get that full coverage. You don't want any white to show through on any of the canvas to show through. There you go. You want to get that all nice and in there. working this one up here. Again, we're staying, I can't use the broad brush yet on this part. Still working in some tight quarters here. I have some extra there, so I want to pull that out. There we go. And swirl it around. Again, now we can use, since I have that edging going on, we can use a broader stroke. Again, if you find some areas that are light on color, pull that color through. There we go. Excellent. We're getting there, right? Thank you so much for joining me today. Make sure you hit follow and subscribe. Give me a comment and a like, right? Yes. And you can also check out my profile page for all my prior posts, reels, and prior lives. So you can see the progress that we've made on this particular piece, but on other things as well, like my latch hooking, like my gardening, like my cooking. This time last week I was shopping for the for Easter. So I will have house guests again this weekend. So I will have to do some shopping later on today and get that all ready for this weekend. But so let's see what culinary delights I can make this weekend, right? Do you guys have a favorite dish that you like to make when you have company come over? What's your favorite dish? Let me know. What's your favorite dish? Hello, hello, thank you. Hi there, Schmirch. Hi, Randall. Hi there, Lake. Hi, Alessandro. Hi, Mr. Mentor. Yes, welcome, welcome, welcome. Thanks for wishing me a wonderful day, Dawn. Thank you for being here. Hi there, Big John. Welcome, welcome. Hi, Alex. Yes, welcome, everybody. Thank you for joining me today. I am filling in this last little bit here, like so. Now this is a bigger area. I could have moved to my thick brush, but on the same hand, it's just it would be a dab for that. You know, this is a good filling in, good brush strokes. All right, couldn't get that out for this one. Now I have this little one over here. Looks like a little heart or a little butt right here. It's gonna come down, V back out, and then we come back around, okay. And then it flattens out. And we're gonna come around and swoosh, swoosh. So tell me, is that, hi there, Egg. Thanks for joining me today. Yes, thanks for joining me on my live today as I am working on my masterpiece, right? I know it's been kind of a lazy week for me, but I have this masterpiece to finish, and now that I've started it, I get a little bit obsessive about it, right? Friday is food and travel. So if you didn't know, each day I bring you something a little bit different. Today is house and garden, so this is kind of in here. I can bring in my little chicks so you can see them in a little bit. I'll bring them in so you can see their growth. One day of ours is about equal to about a week of theirs. So I did get some chicks right before Easter. So now I have 4 little chicks. They're all supposed to be girls, but you know, sometimes they get it wrong. They are as soon as they're born, they're trying to tell you whether it's a boy or a girl, and on humans, it's a lot easier to tell than on a chicken. Just saying. So they're very teeny tiny, and it's hard to make sure to see. Okay, so now I think that top, we got to get all the way down to here. So let's just make sure I don't have any ones in that section. We're good there. Do I have any ones? That's a tiny little number, so that's not a 1. 3s, 3s, 2s. Make sure I don't have any over here. Oh, I might have a little blue on the table. I will have some cleanup to do today. Okay, 10s, 12s, 10s, 10s, 5s. All right, I think we're done with the first half. Look at that. I am going to dip these brushes real quick, clean them off, so I can start new. Okay, see how it builds up there in that middle? And as you pull it out, if I were to do this, you could see that there's still blue on there. So you have to make sure that when you squeeze it out, there's nothing, there's no excess color. See, there's still a lot of paint in there. Okay, so we're just going to brace that up. All right. Oh, so thank you for joining me. You like the art session? Yeah. Painting an island scene. Well, this is the Mediterranean seascape. Yes, it could be an island, I suppose. Oh, I got told that I have to keep moving and stand up for a second. Take a big deep breath. I am going to stand up for a minute. Let's stand up and stretch because we got the top half done. Whew, of that number one. And that was a lot of area to cover, right? That was a lot of area. So let me stand back here just a little bit. Let's bring that knee to chest, stretch. Bring it to the other side and stretch. Okay. Okay, one more on this side. There you go. Make sure you get your balance good. All right. Let's do some torso twists. Keeping the hips there. Let's torso twist. There. Like so. Move the torso, not the hips. Because we don't want to be swinging, right? You got to keep that separate. This, and then we're just going to come over here and here, here, and here. And then we can come up over the top, reach up and over before we get into that second half, into the bottom half. And then over there. Okay. There we go. All right. And then I can give you the 360, like so. Right. There's your 360. And then we can get back at it. And we can sit back down and get back at it. Yes. Thank you for joining me. You have TheMaryBurke Live. We are just finished the top section here, like so. So we're working on that brilliant blue that is now covering that top. Now we've got to work on the number ones down here. Okay. So, and I have to check the bottom quadrant on this side to make sure. I might have some little ones that I have to work on first. Okay. So starting at the top, we're going to do right to left, looking for some ones. Ones. No ones. Here's my first one. See a number one over there and another little one over there. Okay, so I do have some ones. So we're going to dip that back in. I might actually make this a little bit. There we go. Perfect. It was getting a little hard. I want to pull that paint off. I'm going to have to use all the paint that I can on this here. It is, okay. So starting here in this lower one, I'm lefty, so I work right to left. There you have it. Thank you for joining me today. Thanks for thinking I look beautiful. I do appreciate that. Is it Pertano, Italy? I don't know if it's Pertano, Italy, but I do know that it says Mediterranean seascape. So that's what it's going to look like when I'm done. It could be Pertano, Italy. Does it look familiar to you? Does it look like your seascape? Okay. This one is going to have some finer points to it. And then we can swoosh it down. Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. Swoosh through that middle, get all that paint out of there. Work that other edge. And here, the paint is all dry, so I don't have to worry about flipping my hand grip. So I'm not into something that isn't already painted. Ooh, that's a big glob. I might have to spread that glob out. Do I have another? There's a one, and there's a one down here. Gonna push and move that paint around a little bit. Now see, I'm gonna have to move some of that paint to another I'm going to use that as my well, I guess, because I put too much in that one. Okay. I'm going to finish off that box. And I'm going to check this box over here. We got a little nipple right there, and it pokes right up. And then we're going to come out and around. I'm going to come down, bottleneck it, and then swoosh it on the bottom, more like a teardrop, I guess. Pointy on one side, and then rounded on the other as it works its way down and around. Okay, so there's a couple of ones in there that were smaller. Again, we're going to pull that paint as needed to make sure that we've got some good coverage. Okay, now we're back to looking for ones. Okay, see if there's any more ones. There's a one here. I'm going to work this one down. I'll probably pull some more paint right from this one. Put it in this one. Move it from one box to another box. Okay, like so. That one's more triangular. Let's see if we got any more ones down in here. 12s, 16s, 19s, double ones. Okay, work our way back up in this little section. Up here, blah, blah, blah. Okay, then we're going to move it back over. Make sure I'm not missing any ones. 5s. 23s. Okay, we got a one over here. Remind me about that one over there, okay? There is a one over there. How long have you been asking me if I smoke cigarettes? No, I don't smoke. I don't smoke cigarettes. I don't smoke cigars. I don't vape. I don't, that's not one of my vices. I don't, yeah. Okay, there's a bunch of ones in there. Okay, so we're going to come back up to the top and work our way back down. 28s, 5s, 14s, 2s. Is it 2 in there? Haven't done 2s yet either. 2, 5. Oh, there's a 0 in there. So there's 2 zeros that I missed. There's a 1 in here that I can get. Okay, so we got a 1 here. Okay, we're getting into the ones. Getting into the ones here. But thank you for your question. You can certainly put a question in the comment section right there, and I'll try and answer you. I'll be bobbing my head up and down, looking at you. Make sure that this is the account that you're following and subscribing to, right? You want to make sure that you're getting all my up-to-date content, such as me painting my masterpiece here. In addition to that, any of the content that I've been filming, such as, my golfing or my gardening or any of that stuff. I do have a couple of, last week I was at the beach. Well, I guess 2 weeks ago I was at the beach. Last week was Easter, so I brought you all that content. So stay tuned. I'm always making new content, putting up new videos. So you have to stay tuned for all of that. And make sure you subscribe to get those new videos, right? All right. And then I'm going to go down. See, I might need a little bit more. If I can see the number 1 through it, I'm not getting enough coverage in there. All right, then we're going to fill this in and blend kind of the edges there. We want to make sure that we don't have any of those black lines showing through. All right. And then we're going to come down to here, like so. Make sure you got enough paint on there that you're actually covering the number that you're painting, right? Okay. And then we're going to, this one's right on the cusp in between the 2 quadrants. So this is more of a fine brush area. So, there. We can fill this one in. So, Thank you for joining me. You've got Mary Burke Live. Make sure you hit follow. Make sure you hit subscribe. We're working on my masterpiece today. Sorry, I got my head down. I'm buried in my work. Making sure that you've got your paintbrush in hand. You want to make sure that that tip stays wet, right? And that you're going to the well often to re-dip it, okay? If you have a question, you can put it in the comments right there. Make sure that you can see my masterpiece that I'm working on. If you can't see it, let me know. I'll be happy to adjust the angle of the dangle so you can see what you need to see. You can see the area that I'm working on. Sometimes, like I said, I get caught up in it and I didn't realize, that what I'm showing you is off screen. So it's happened. So I just want to make sure that that we are all good. Okay, now let's get back over into this quadrant, working at the top. So that's all the way over there. But I think I gotta work this one first. And then I don't have any ones in here. No ones in there. No one's in there. So here's my next one, and it's a doozy. Here's the next one. The one is a big one, all right? So this one's a big one. So now we're gonna get into a big area. So I'm gonna start by outlining and edging with this brush. And then when we get into the thicker parts, when it's wide open, I'll be able to use my thick brush, okay? But in the meantime, I have to outline the area as well as any cutouts that there may be. So make sure that you have cleaned your brush. Start with a clean brush, and then it's very flexible. Cradle it right into the between your thumb and forefinger, always keeping control of the tip. You saw earlier, if you were here earlier, you know that I lost control of the tip and I splooged in the middle over here. I was able to clean it up, but it did make quite the mess. Also, if you do make a mess, make sure that you clean it up. All right, make sure you clean up that mess. Good. Hi there. Thanks for joining me. Yes, thanks for joining me. Again, hit follow, hit subscribe, give my live a like and comment. Also, go to my profile links and my profile page. Go to my profile page, go to the links, and you can see all my authorized social media platforms there. I am simulbroadcasting on Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and on Facebook. So you can see me everywhere. All right. And if for any reason it's every day at 11, I start out. It depending on what I'm working on that day is going to be how long it lasts. Sometimes it's a quickie and it's only 15 minutes long. Other times I can be on for an hour. I mean, I've already been on for 113 minutes right now, just chatting with you, enjoying our time together, and working our fine motor skills and working with some tools and using control over those tools. So today's tool is the paintbrush. Good. All right, now we're going to get into some areas, and like I said, I'm working and edging all the way around. This is on some other color, so I will be trying to blend those colors together. And if that doesn't get rid of the black line that separates them, then I may have to come over and actually use some 0 and 1 together, blend that paint together, and reapply. It's okay to go back and if you have to reapply. I got it. Sometimes you want to go back to it over and over and over again. I completely understand. Yes. Yes. So let's have some fun together. Let's get in there. Let's get that paint brush out, dust it off, and get it wet, and get some paint on it, and just use those strokes. Right now I'm using a shorter fine stroke until I get to a freer area. While I'm working on these nooks and crannies, I have to be a little bit more precise with my brush stroke and my little dabs. But once I get to an open area, I'll be able to do a nice, much longer freehand stroke on it. So You still want, even when you're freehanding it, you still want to make sure that you got good control over it. Okay, but so that you're still tracing, you're working that edging and tracing it. Now, if you got to feather it out a little bit, if you got a little bit too much in the middle, you can always squish that middle a little bit and force more towards the tip. All right. Then we're going to get into this little nook and cranny in here, fill that in like so. Okay. Nice. And you're going to, there's some cutouts in there, so you want to go around the cutouts. Hi there from Oregon. Thanks for joining in. You've got Mary Burke live today. Hi there. Thanks, Crazy, for joining me today. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Make sure you're hitting follow and subscribe and liking the live. Yes. Lots of stuff going on. So there we go. We're working with that paintbrush. Hopefully you have your paintbrush off. You've cleaned it. Always start by cleaning it, making sure that it's nice and clean. And then you can dip it in the well and get all that paint all over it. And then work at covering that canvas. Okay? Thanks for subscribing, Matthew. I do appreciate that. Welcome, 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 everybody. Thank you, Matthew. Yes. And on YouTube, I am working on 2 million followers. So if you subscribe over there, thank you very much. If you aren't on my YouTube, it's TheMaryBurke. So make sure that you head it up and go and follow, help me get to that 2 million. Same thing with Instagram. Instagram's almost 1.3 million followers. So if you haven't already hit follow and subscribe, you definitely should. And I appreciate each and every one of you joining me here today, right? As we work our paintbrushes, it's important to work those paintbrushes. Yeah, get that full coverage on there. I am working on some delicate sections right now, and I am edging, marking those edgings. Yes, it's a tight edge here. So you're really gonna have to have good motor skills and maybe just a little dab here and there, which when you dab it, it's gonna push it more back towards the middle. So you'll have to get to an area where you can compress that middle and squeeze out that extra paint that's in there. Because it really does, it slides. And not only do you get, paint that goes onto your canvas, but some of it goes back into the middle of the brush, and that can really build up with paint, and you don't want it dripping. So if you don't want it dripping and bulbing down, you're going to have to compress the middle of it every once in a while. Squeeze it a little bit. There you go. Like that. Just like that. And you will be going back to the well often, okay? Just, you were thinking about doing some painting yourself? Excellent. Whip that paintbrush out. Get it out. Get it out. Clean it off. And dip it in some paint. And paint that canvas, right? Now I'm doing a paint by numbers, but a lot of you might be, freehanding it over there and just painting your own Picasso, right? Your own Pollock. Yeah. There you go. And I always liked, I don't usually like the ones that everybody else likes. So like my Van Gogh, one of my favorite is Cafe at Night. That's my favorite Van Gogh. Now this is a 2. I don't know how I'm going to remember that this is a 2 because the 2 is split between the, I'll try to leave a little extra room at the top there. Okay. Yeah, so that's one of my favorites. Is not, the Starry Night or whatever. I think that's over commercialized. But Nighttime at the Cafe is one of my favorite Van Goghs. And then my favorite Monet is not Water Lilies or the bridge that they do. My favorite Monet is Wisteria. It's just that purples and blues and going all the way across. It's so pretty. So that's my favorite Monet. Um, and I have, there's a couple that I like by Chagall and Klimt. The Kiss by Klimt is interesting. I like when like Chagall and Klimt, they have the story within the story. So they have like the kiss, and then it shows all the different things within the kiss that got them to the kiss. And the same thing with the Chagalls. He hides stuff within the picture that I like. So it's more like for me on the Chagalls, it's more like seeing a find and seek, or like a I Spy. So I'm doing great. Thanks for asking. Yes, I'm doing wonderful. Thank you, thank you, thank you for being here. I do appreciate each and every one of you. Um, I'm the favorite painting. Yeah, somebody suggested to me yesterday that I could actually do my own. If like I take a picture of myself, I could send it in and they'll make a paint by numbers for me. So that would be kind of cool if I did that. Would you guys paint by numbers if I made one of myself that I had as a merch, right? If I made merch of a paint by numbers for me, what do you think? Should I do it? Should I do it? And then you can take your paintbrushes out and paint me. Then you would be painting me. What do you think? I think that's kind of cool. Don't you think that's cool? I don't know what picture I'd pick, but maybe one of me in my overalls. And then you guys could take out your paintbrushes and paint me. Would you buy it if I had it as merch? If I had a paint by numbers of me, would you buy it? That's the question right now. If there was a paint by numbers of Mary Burke, would you purchase the paint by numbers and paint it? So you got to answer me now. Because someone did suggest that I could take a picture and send it in, and I could have my own paint by numbers of me. I look like the Bass chick. I look like a Bass chick. I do love me a Bass Pro Shops. I do love me a Bass Pro Shops, that's for sure. And there's one right near the Top Golf that I go to too. Now, when I bought my boat, I did not go to Bass Pro though. I did go to a boat show. Bought my boat there. Which I have not gone out on the boat. I haven't felt it's been quite right weather yet. I am definitely a fair weather fan. I like to be in bikinis and stuff and on the boat. So I don't feel that the weather has been quite right for that. I am just, again, edging. We're edging at the moment. We're working that outer perimeter, outlining the edge of the paint area that we want to cover. And then I will also be doing the cutouts, edging around the cutouts to make sure that I don't accidentally paint over those. So nobody said, okay, so I guess I will not do a paint by numbers of myself because nobody has said yes. I often get people say, oh, you should make a calendar, you should do this, you should do that. But I think a paint by numbers would be fun. I often hear from you guys that you want to paint me, so I just think if I had a canvas of it, that would work even better. What do you think? Oh, you like my glasses today? Yes, I need those for the fine edges. Make sure that I'm not that I am outlining it and covering my edges. Yes, so I do have the cheaters on today. Yes. You would buy one or two? Thank you, George. See, I got somebody that's brave enough to tell me that they would buy one of my canvases if I added it as merch. cutting out and around those twos. So we got to come down here to this one. And I am working backwards for everybody that's like, hey, you're going the wrong way. I'm lefty, so in order to make sure that I don't paint all over myself and try to make myself as clean as possible, although I do always end up with a little paint on me. I'm not gonna lie, there's paint on me. But to make sure that I'm not completely covered in paint, I go right to left. And I'm working on my cutouts. These are number 2s. So I don't want to paint by accident. I don't want to paint these by accident. So I'm outlining them to give myself a little extra room. Just like when you're painting the walls and you got to do the, you got to edge the top and the bottom. You can be a little bit messier if you put masking tape on it or painter's tape on it and then peel that away. But sometimes if you do it too thick and you peel away that painter's tape, it'll pull too much paint with it. So I prefer to use a fine brush and kind of feather it in and be more gentle with it. There we go. And you will go back to the well over and over and over again on this because there is a lot of edging on this one. Like the one on the top did not have this much cutouts and inlets and stuff. So this is a pretty intricate work area here. And you got some zigzags and some fine points, and then some swooshes, and then some squiggles. So I'm just gonna fill this whole section in so I don't even have to come back to it because it's rather tight there. And then we got a nice long one, so you can just do a nice, see how long a stroke I was able to get off on that one? Yeah, that was nice. That was nice. Thanks for joining me. Yes, thanks for being here. Now, what's that? Well, don't be soliciting in the comments there. So this is my live. So make sure if I catch any fake Marys or anything in there, or people saying, hey, come over to my page, then I will be getting rid of you. That's my one warning to you. There are tons of fake Marys, so that's the other thing. Make sure that you're actually following me. You got me live here, so you know that you really got me. But say you want to follow me on, say you're on YouTube and you want to follow me on TikTok. There's 1,000 fake Marys out there, maybe more. I probably report 100 or more a day. So in that respect, you want to go to my profile page and click on the profile links, and it'll give you my authorized pages right there. So all my pages will be there, so you can just click on those links so that you can get over to the authorized TikTok page and the authorized YouTube page and the authorized Instagram page and the authorized Facebook page. But if you just do it by yourself, be forewarned, there's so many fakes out there that you are leaving yourself open to being scammed. And I have some special pages too, so you got to make sure that you're clicking on those profile links so you can get to all the pages. Okay? All right, so this one I did kind of work left to right, so I'm going to have to let that dry for a second and come back to this one and work right to left. I was thinking it was the bottom edge, but it's not the bottom edge, it's in the middle. So we get to go out and around this one as well. Like so. Work this one down. So and now we got a nice long, look at how long we can go. Look at how long a stroke we can get in there. And then come back, flip the brush. So you work in the other side. The other option is if you don't want to flip the brush, you come up and over and drag it back the other way. So it's up to you whether you want to flip it or whether you want to just go in the opposite direction. I'm flipping it. And then we're getting low on that paint. Remember I said don't let that paint run out of the tip. Redip it in the well. Make sure that tip is wet. over and over and over again. There you go. All right. Now I can do the underside. Now we're going to come back. I married those two off. Now we're going to come onto the underside, the under booby there. Come up into the little inlet and come back. The other side isn't nearly as full as that first side, and it's longer. Okay, redip, redip. Don't forget about dipping. Keep it wet, keep it wet. Don't let it dry out. Okay, I'm gonna come down to the edging there. Now we want to make sure we're touching other colors, so we want to make sure that we get rid of any black lines that might be separating the two colors. Yes. Yes. Painting, yes, a detailed artwork right here. Yes. Yes. So, if you have any painting tips, feel free to give me your painting tips. Again, I like to, if I can change the angle, I can change the canvas, I can flip the brush, I can work it up and back. Sometimes you can just change it, change the angle of it. But if you're not getting good coverage of it, you might have to completely swap the canvas around. Okay, and lots of angles to go into here. So not getting a long, full brush stroke yet. We're going to get into, see over here, we've got a nice long line. But as we're working this smaller section, it's going to be some squiggles and whatever. And we're just going to work it up and around until we can get to this beautiful line here. I hope I have enough paint on my brush to be able to just do a nice long stroke all the way down. There, I was able to do it. Were you able to do it? Were you able to get a nice long stroke in there? Hoping you were. Hoping you were. Make sure you hit follow. Make sure you hit subscribe. Make sure you check out my profile page for all my different social media links. And that you're following me on each one of them. Help me get to 2 million on YouTube and 1.3 million on Instagram, plus my other platforms of Facebook, and you can help me on every single one of them. Help me out. So, all right. Okay, and we're going down and around on the bottom of this one. The paints are matching up here, so I'm just going to color that bottom. Here we can get into this and around a little bit finer. So sometimes you have to work a different angle than you're used to, and you can either, change the grip, or you can change the canvas. It's entirely up to you. You can switch it around, but sometimes for your motor dexterity, you want to work that all around. So make sure you're using all the different angles. Yes, so that you can get that coverage that you want. Okay, we're working those fine motor skills. We're going to get a hold of that tool. And that paintbrush is your tool, and you are going to really work it today. Yes, we're working a lot of coverage here today. Now I got a nice swooping angle that we can work this all the way down. I have nice coverage. There's lots of paint. It is a slightly different angle than I'm used to. Cutting back in on myself here. So I'm going to use a little bit shorter stroke and then a longer stroke as we swoop out and around. And then we get a nice diagonal. Now I'm going to come back up. See how I worked it? I'm working it the other direction, working it from bottom to top now. Now we're working at the bottom and pulling it all the way back up, making sure that I've got that nice line all the way to the tip. And then we're back on the bottom again. And we're cutting out and around that number 2 and working it down. And then I'm going to have a peninsula. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back down to this side over here, and we're going to work the bottom over here. We're going to pull it right to left again. Okay, so I left off over here, so we're going to marry our colors here. And we got little swoops, little ripples. This is ripples in the water. So we're going to work the ripples, right? And the edging of the boat. So this is the edge of the boat and the ripples of water against the edge of the boat. If you can see, the outline of the boat is right here. I've got another boat right there and another boat right there. So, oh, and a boat right there. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4 boats, maybe 5 boats. So we'll count the boats in the water on another day. On another day. Oh, I think some of my hair went up my nose, which made it itchy. I'm gonna pull that back. Pull that hair back off my face, right? I do have a hairband. I could put it up. Going back to the well, putting more paint on that tip. Oh, that's a lot. So we're gonna work some of that around. There you go. And then I can pull it down and in and use that over the whole body of that canvas area. And we're going to swirl around here again. We're back in the ripples. We're coming to a crest and a point here, like so. Some zigzags, and then we can spread that paint out and around, feather it out, right? Then that little area is done. I'm going to fill in this little area. It's tight. Let's get to a thicker area. Woo! That nose is itchy. Okay, and then we're up here. We're coming around here. All right. We're getting there. We're getting there, guys. Thanks for sticking with me, working on your stamina today with your paintbrush. I understand that, you know, if you've emptied that paintbrush and you've had to build up more paint, I got it. I got it. But the important thing is that you keep coming back, right? Yes. Please like and subscribe. Absolutely. Please like and subscribe. Yes. All right. And then I'm going to try to work this other angle because I did start on that side. So again, I'm lefty, so I don't want to run into my own handiwork there. Okay. Oh, Stella! Oh, Stella! Okay. Okay. All right, everybody. We're getting there. Then I'm going to be able to use my broad one. I'm going to be able to use my thick. I got a thick one too. Stella, thank you very much. Thank you very much for letting me know the delivery person is here. Anytime I get a delivery, the entire neighborhood knows that I got a delivery because Stella lets everybody know. Stella, do you want me to come over and say hi? Is that it? And show what good detective work you've been doing? Yes. What a good puppy you are. And what a good puppy you are. You're so yes, you are so brave. Yes, you are. You are so brave. Yes, you are. Yes, you're protecting me from all the bad guys. All the bad guys. Stella protects me from all the bad guys. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. You're so good to me, Stella. You are so good to me. All right. Finally, this whole section is outlined. So this is the broad area that we are going to be filling in. All right, you ready to switch it up to your thick paintbrush? We're ready to switch it up. Minnie Mouse telling me it's 1:28 and good afternoon. I am going to take a sip of my now cold coffee. All right, now we're dipping this into the big, look at how thick that is. Isn't that a nice thick one? Oh, I forgot to cut out and around the edge of this one. All right, so let's start there, right? I'm going to start here and cut out and around that one. Leave it a little bit wider than where I really want to go. I'll have to be a little bit more precise on that. And now we can get into swirling. We haven't really been able to do swirling with it. It's a nice stroke, but you can go with a longer. See, I ran out of paint there, so we can go with a nice longer swirl. We can get up here and get in there and just swirl it to a nice long stroke and swirl. Flow with that water, be one with it. Then here we can bring that down, pull that back like so and like so. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, for those of you that were on my live, sorry that you got cut off for a second. I didn't realize I was low battery. So I am going to put some of this on the top section here too. Make sure I'm spreading the wealth. I'm not just covering one section. I want to give it a lot of coverage, a lot of paint. There we go. Okay. And now I take my excess and bring it up top. This is a finer area. I don't know how much of the thick one I'm going to be able to use. I might have to go side to side to side and then work that down and in, try to blend it. I do want to use as much of that paint as possible, like that. There we go. All right, and then as we get into the finer areas, I may have to switch back. This one might be a switchback. This one might be a switchback to the finer brush, but I want to get as much paint out of here as I possibly can, right? There. So we're just gonna run that one dry, because now we have to go back to the finer one. Okay, and then get in here and do that, right? Okay, almost done with this section. And then I think I got one more big one, but even that big one is much smaller than this. Yes, guys, welcome back. Welcome back. Did you enjoy your nappy? My guys had a good nappy there. All right. Yes, I know. Sometimes Bob Ross can be so calm talking that it puts you to sleep, right? The heck is all the slammy bang? Okay. All right. There we go. We're almost done. Just like that. But we had so much area to cover today, didn't we? With our paintbrushes. Thank you for helping me with my paintbrushes today. Yes, thank you so much for helping me with my paintbrush today. And so far, I have not run out of paint. I thought for sure I might not have enough paint to paint this entire area, but you have helped me. I'm going to see if I can pull any more out in this. See this? Oh, when you think your brush is out, you can always give it a couple more dabs too. There may be a little more paint in there than you thought there was. Look at this, and you can blend it. Look at that. See? And now I just got to go over the edging again, right? Pull some of that down and in and around, blend it. Yeah, that's using your paintbrush right there. Get squeezing it all out. Okay, now we're gonna do this right there. But we used a lot of #1 paint today. Yes, we did. Like the #4 paint, there's hardly any #4 paint in here. And then almost like we needed 2 pots of the #1 today, didn't we? Yeah, did we almost need 2 pots? Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for saying hi. Thanks for joining. Sorry, on YouTube it did, I lost my battery, so it did pause briefly. So if you're just joining me again, thank you for jumping back in. But we're almost done. We're almost done for today, and then we're gonna let all this paint dry and set and come back on another day and finish up with another number. So I like to do one from each row. So next time will be, we already did 7, so it'll be 8. 8 to 12 was the number that we'll have to pick for our next painting. Right? I'm thinking 8, but sometimes you need a 12, right? Why not? All right, everybody. It has been so fun being here with you today. We're working on our next to last, we're on this last section of this was a big section to cover. Big section of the water, and we are into some finer points. So I switched from my thick brush back to my thinner brush. Not my tiniest brush. I have an itty bitty stubby one, so it's not that one. See how stubby that head is? So it's not the stubby head. It's still one of the longest. I probably went medium, so this is probably the longest head right there. And then this paintbrush is a good medium filler. And it's a good everyday brush. There you go. Not the longest in the bunch, not the shortest in the bunch, not the girthiest of the bunch, but it can do some heavy hauling. There you go. All right, so that section is done. Now we're on to this last one up here, number 1 up here. And that's what I got. We're on to the last one. Oh, next to the last one. There's a tiny one there. Just when you think you're done, there's another one. All right. But that one is uber tiny compared to what we've been dealing with. All right, so we are going to start on the top and work our way around that perimeter. We're doing that edging again, so make sure you get a good grip on that tip because you're going to be working lots of different angles and you want to have control of your tip. All right, you don't want to be just willy-nilly going in there and accidentally overfilling or spooging in a different area there. We're trying to outline this. We're going along the outline, and once we complete the outline, then you can go back and do a little more willy-nilly freehand and paint the entire area. But that edging is important so that we are painting by numbers. It's not freehand. So when the paint by numbers, you don't want to cover up your other number. You won't know what you're painting next. Right? You've got to know what you're painting. Yeah, thanks for thinking it's looking good. It's coming along, right? If you've been following me, when I've done this all live, this entire landscape has been done live. So you have helped me paint this masterpiece with your paintbrushes, my paintbrushes. We've been working it together to make sure that we've got it all done and it looks pretty and it's covered in paint. And when we first started, I just started with the number 4, and it was such a little area that you couldn't really tell what I was doing there. But now you're really seeing it start to come together. Come together right now over me. A little Aerosmith. Gonna throw that in there. All right. And now we're in this little section in here. Ooh, I covered that number. See, you gotta be so careful you don't cover up your numbers. I probably could have used the stubby one in that little area, but I'm so excited to be near the end that I might have not had complete control. Here we got more ripples in the water. This is ripples in the water here. So make your ripples, okay? It's not just a spray. You're not just spraying it. You are doing some ripples. You're trying to get some ripples there, okay? Work your ripples. There we go. And we're almost closing the gap there. Okay. I'm going to go out and around this little one here. Got a cutout in the middle. Oh, I didn't close my loop at the top. Dang it. Why didn't you guys tell me that? I thought I closed the loop. I did not close the loop. Okay, we gotta go back to the well. It's getting pretty low in there. That well is getting pretty low. We used a lot of number 1 paint today. Yes, we did. And it felt good to get rid of all that paint, right? Didn't it feel good to just get it out there? And it's good to see you again, Headzone. There we go. Thank you for joining me. You've got Mary Burke Live. Make sure that you're hitting follow and subscribe. This little one is all by itself, so I am just going to fill that in. Right? Let's just bang that out. Let's just bang that one out, and then we don't have to worry about it. And I won't stress about it and forget about it. Okay, now, I don't know that I can use my thick one here, but we're gonna try it anyways. There we go. So now, yeah, look at that. See, look at how quick, how much more coverage you can get. See, now there's an application. You can see how much more coverage that thick one gets as opposed to that thin one. That thin one is great and is a great worker and it does a lot of the edging, but when it comes to coverage, that thick one just really, now if you get into a tight area, it's not going to work as well. But you know, you're gonna have to either squeeze it or put it on its side or try to squish it in there. But just like that, and look at that, we're done. Yeah, a couple of strokes, a couple of nice long strokes in there, and that is done with the thick one. Whoop, 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 we're done. All right, now I'm gonna show you what it looks like. Ta-da! There you go. That's our blues today. What do you think? Thank you so much for helping me with all your paintbrushes. I had hundreds and thousands, I had thousands, tens of thousands of paintbrushes helping me today. Yes, and I appreciate each and every one of you. So make sure that you hit follow and subscribe and that you go to my profile links and you click on all on my profile links. You make sure you click on all my authorized social media. I have some special pages. I have lots of content out there. So, and I put different content up on different pages. So just make sure that you're following all my authorized content. All right? Including the special stuff. Because the special stuff is fun. Fun, fun, fun. Right? So thank you for joining me today. Hit follow, subscribe, like, comment, and don't forget, I'll be back tomorrow at 11. Yes, it starts at 11 Eastern, daylight time. So if you don't follow daylight time, just make that adjustment. So it's Eastern daylight time here in Florida. It's been Mary, and my hand is exhausted now with handling all those paintbrushes, right? But my fine motor skills, everything is good there, right? So it's all good, right? So I can still move that hand, right? I cannot open this shirt. I specifically wear a shirt that did not open because it can't be done on this platform. So there you have it. So I'd love to. But you gotta go where you gotta go, right? Go special. You know, find the special stuff. Thank you for joining me today. You've had Mary Burke live. So I appreciate all of you painting with me, covering this canvas, working on my masterpiece. Catch you tomorrow at 11. I'm going to switch gears a little bit. There probably won't be any painting. I'll either be making food, talking about food, talking about travel, making travel plans. So stick around. Come back tomorrow. Every day is a little something different. Today was a little heavy. This week was a little bit heavy on the painting. I wanted to get a lot of painting done this week. So I appreciate everybody helping me with that painting. All right. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure chatting with you. I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Thanks again. Bye now. Thanks for liking the hairstyle. I do appreciate it.